Daniel McGowan wants to, first of all, thank his family, his friends, his loving wife, and his many supporters for all of their support throughout these last few months and the support he's going to continue to need in the future. 11 months ago, the government said Daniel McGowan had two choices. He could cooperate and inform on other people in order to make a deal, or he could face life in prison for his role in two alleged arsons. Today, Daniel is able to accept his full responsibility for his role in these two incidents on terms that allow him to honor his deeply held personal beliefs. Under the terms of Daniel's agreement, he did not inform on any other person. He did not identify or implicate any other person or provide any information that would tend to incriminate another person. This was critically important to Daniel, and we are pleased that we were able to reach this kind of agreement for him. After these two incidents, which occurred in the year 2001, Daniel McGowan realized that arson did not fit in any way with his personal vision of how to create a better world, the world that he wanted for all of us to live in. And he continued with his positive activism that he had always been involved in and that he has continued to engage in until this very day. He works to support victims of domestic violence and to prevent domestic violence. He works on environmental campaigns to preserve old-growth forests, and he works to advocate for prisoners and to make sure they get support from people outside the walls. Daniel is looking forward to continuing to spend time on these projects over the next few months while he awaits his sentencing, and he looks forward to being in court again with Judge Aiken and talking with her about these incidents. At that time, the judge will impose a sentence that we believe will be just and fair and will recognize that what Daniel McGowan did, along with the other three defendants today, was an appropriate way to resolve this difficult case for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
What's your name, please?
My name is Amanda Lee. Jeff Robinson and I, with the firm Schrader, Goldmark & Bender, represent Daniel.
We can,
We
if
do.
folks want, hand out copies of the plea agreement and the statement that Mr. McGowan made in court.
I would add that no part of Daniel McGowan's plea agreement has been sealed by the court. No part of it has been, we have asked that no part of it be placed under seal. It's available today. It is in the record for the public and for the media to view.
Did bringing up the NSA wiretapping issue help your case? Did that strengthen your negotiating ability to get an agreement?
If I could just get you to start shifting back away from the entrance for me, please.
All I can tell you about the NSA issue is that we filed a motion 8 months ago seeking to have the government to produce any NSA surveillance that might relate to this case so that we could see it and see how it may have been used. After the court ordered the government to come forward with some response and information in response to that motion, we quickly received an opportunity to sit down with the government and try to reach a resolution that would work. So while we do not have any more information than we did then about what the NSA may or may not have, it's our belief that the NSA request was a critical component in resolving this case.
What about the terrorism aspect of the case? They're wanting to use terrorism.
The government has used the terrorism issue to confuse and obfuscate the issues in this case from the very beginning. These were two incidents of arson that Daniel McGowan was involved in, and the term serves only to demonize people who are deeply committed to making this world a much better place, to preserving old-growth forests and to protecting the environment.
So do you believe that your client was spied on by the National Security Agency without a warrant?
We have no way of knowing what information exactly the National Security Agency is gathering. We know from testimony in Congress by the Attorney General of the United States that there may be surveillance programs that have not been disclosed to the American people. We know that the programs that have been disclosed have captured entirely domestic communications between American people living in America, and there are specific programs that he has declined to discuss. He has said the only programs he will discuss are those that the President has disclosed and those that are authorized in statutes.
So in other words, without that issue, do you think you would have gotten the government to agree to this agreement?
I think you'd have to ask the government that.
Well, the government says there were no warrantless wiretaps, and this was not an issue in the plea agreement.
What the government has
disagree with that, or?
What the government has said on the record is they have no information. That's the U.S. attorneys saying they do not know if there is NSA surveillance.
No, Kirk Engdahl just told me that there were no wiretaps, were no warrantless wiretaps. To me, he said. Is that a lie?
What I have said is that what Mr. Engdahl has said on the record is that he has no information about whether there is NSA surveillance in the case. The information, by definition, is classified.
But you said you thought that your memo and your request was a critical component to resolving this case.
I believe that based on the chronology of events.
How big a factor were other defendants' decisions to talk prior to this in their decision to leave?
What was important to us in this case was reaching a resolution that allowed our client to honor his personal beliefs, and we are pleased that we were able to do that.
And what they did didn't have anything to do with their decisions.
They did what they did, and our client and the three people who pled guilty today did what they did. And in the spirit of community, which is what many of the folks in this movement were about, they came together as a group to resolve their cases together without talking about anybody else. And quite frankly, I think that was a significant and laudable event. And I think all four defendants who pled guilty today should be proud of taking responsibility for what they did and keeping their beliefs high and intact at the same time.
Who's your father?
Jeff Robinson.
Did Daniel have a statement to his supporters on how they can continue to help him?
We have released Daniel's statement to the court today on paper for all of you to have. And today is not the day for Daniel to speak to the media. We'll be saving, I think Daniel wants to speak directly to the judge. I think that's all we have. Thanks.